Alright, right off the bat, before the breakdown starts, I want to say one giant prediction I have. And it's that we will play through both of the endings of the first game. Each of these parallel timelines is one of the endings of the first game. Just something to think about before the breakdown starts. Alright, let us commence forth.
I swore I'd never use my power again. But 2 nights ago, I found my friend's body in the woods.
Right off the bat, the first shot in the whole trailer is of an owl soaring over the school where this game takes place. Along with that, we hear a voiceover of Max saying, "I swore I'd never use my powers again." In the first game, when she used her powers, she brought about a storm that wiped out Arcadia Bay, depending on which ending you chose. Her powers also brought about many other strange phenomena that I'll mention later in this breakdown. The very next shot in the trailer shows the same owl from the first shot looking over Max, but notice how it's framed here. The owl and Max are on the same level, most likely signifying that this owl is Max's spirit animal. Spirit animals were very prominent in the first Life is Strange game, where we had the doe, which is theorized to be Rachel's spirit animal. We had the butterfly, which is theorized to be Chloe's spirit animal, but Max's spirit animal was never really confirmed. But some people do argue between the butterfly or the doe actually being Max's spirit animal. Max proceeds to say, "But 2 nights ago, I found my friend's body in the woods." Then we get the reveal of what she looks like now. After so many years of hoping for her return, she's finally back. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea this was Max until we began to see her using her powers. She looks freaking different in this game than she did in the original Life is Strange. Also, I just thought I'd mention, this moment is very reminiscent of the ending to episode 4, where Jefferson kills Chloe. It's midnight, her friend got shot and died. I thought I'd point the similarities out anyways. There's not really much of a connection. I just thought I'd say something. But before I move on from this point in the trailer, I would like to point out something about Max's character design. Specifically something that's pinned to her clothing. What's that? Oh, that's right! A freaking owl pin! Coincidence? I think not! This further solidifies my theory on Max's spirit animal being the owl. Unless that pin was given to her by Safi, who is the lady that got gunned down here. The reason I bring that up is because if that pin was given to Max by Safi, or even the person who killed Safi in this moment, then that could relate the owl to being the spirit animal of that person. You understand what I'm saying?
I don't know who I can trust. Or who trusts me. But my friend Safi is dead.
This moment here is very interesting to me. We get another voiceover of Max saying, "I don't know who I can trust." And as she says this, the camera is framed directly on this person. Then it pans to the left to reveal Max behind her. Also, keep in mind that this is the only time we ever see this person in this whole trailer. Like, in person, I mean. Coincidence? I think the frick not! But who is she? Well, unfortunately, we don't know yet, obviously, and we can only take away one thing from her appearance, which is this earring. I'm not sure if this earring is anything at all, but if it is, what is it? I'd really like to know. This next moment reveals to us the name of the university this story takes place in, Caledon University. We see this written on the lanyard around this guy's neck. He appears to be part of the faculty of this university, and although his name is on the badge, I can't make out what it says. For the next character, we get another voiceover from Max saying, "Or who trusts me," and we see the detective of this game, and on his badge reads, "Vermont State Police." So now we have our school and our state, but once again, we don't learn the name of this character. Before I continue this breakdown, I want to mention the extreme usage of blue and orange colors. So, as you're watching, watch how many times the colors blue and orange appear in this trailer. There's greens and yellows here and there, but blue and orange are very prominent throughout this whole trailer.
So why can I still hear her voice? Focusing my power, I somehow shifted into a parallel timeline.
In this shot, we see a tribute to Safi with flowers, writings on the wall such as "We heart you, fly high beautiful, miss you," and another message written by a girl named Bailey, but the whole message can't be made out. In this shot, we can see Safi from the parallel timeline calling out for Max. Then we see Max, quite literally, ripping the fabric of reality open and moving into another timeline. Bro, I'm telling you. This girl is so freaking overpowered, bro, I swear. If Daniel or Alex ever go up against this lady, they're getting smoked! Not only can she reverse time, but she can also change time, she can practically teleport, she can cause crazy collateral damage, she can move into Polaroid photos and change the past through the photos, and now she can focus her power to the point where she can just hop dimensions spot style. Y'all need to chill out with this character, bro. But in this shot, we can see that same tribute from earlier is in blue, which means that is only present in the blue timeline and not the orange timeline. This showcases the absolutely insane potential this game mechanic has for puzzles and gameplay. Also, notice the Christmas tree in the background. Now, along with the where this story takes place, we can now pinpoint the when it takes place.
Here, Safi is still alive. The danger stalks our every step. And only I can investigate both realities.
So there's actually a lot to break down in just a few seconds that we got here. So Max is talking about how in this other reality, Safi is still alive, but danger stalks their every step. This could mean that someone is still after Safi, or theory time! Someone was after Max the night Safi died, but because of the darkness of the night, Safi was shot by the killer who intended to kill Max from the beginning. But I have no evidence to back that up, so it's more of a prediction than anything. And in this shot, we can see Max and Safi, most likely in the orange timeline, venturing through an abandoned building. Notice the destroyed roof tiles, the hanging wires, and the graffiti all over the walls. This building could have been a space-themed bowling alley at some point because in the background there's bowling pins inside a bowling ball, which we also see on this artwork on the wall of a bowling ball with pins in his head riding inside a rocket, and the word nebula repeats multiple times throughout this one shot. Also notice how an entire freaking solar system is falling on top of them. Also notice, after the solar system falls on them, the background has bowling pins and spots for people to sit. Now in these next few shots, it's unclear where Max is at, but in this one, she appears to be hiding, and there's these strange specks of blue all over the place. In this next shot, we see Max either running towards something or running away from something. Once again, it's unclear. But this next shot is crazy! Someone, most likely the detective we saw earlier, is pointing a gun at Max. To the right of Max is the black guy we saw earlier in the trailer. And how do I know this? In one of the shots we get later in the trailer, we see him with that same puffy jacket sitting next to Max outside. But Max seems to be holding a carrying case. I'm not sure for what, but I assume this is what is causing the gun to be pointed at Max in this moment. Also notice how in this shot we see the police tape and police barriers along with a police officer, but when Max warps herself to the other reality, the police tape, barriers, and the officer is gone, replaced with normal people just hanging out by like a bunch of idiots.
Hang on. Parallel world?
It's the same as this one, except you're dead.
Okay, I need to talk about this. I don't know who the frick that was, but it wasn't Max. No, I suspect that was a lizard man, disguising itself as Max, attempting to make Safi trust it so it can eat her eventually. I could talk about this shot for like probably 12 minutes because there's so much to unpack in this. In episode 4 of Life is Strange 1, we get a shot in the sky of 2 moons, just as we're getting it in this one. But the difference here is that both moons are very distinctly different colors, whereas in Life is Strange 1, both moons looked like normal moons, but one was flickering in and out of existence like a hologram. Also, notice the crazy storm clouds here. This could represent the two realities colliding together and causing extremely strange phenomena exactly like we saw in the first game. This ties into what I said at the beginning of the video where in the first game, when we played for the first time, we were practically playing during the mixture of realities we had created before the final choice of the game, where we made a definitive choice on how to move forward. Whereas now, the two realities are very distinct, but once again combining into each other again.
I can still save Safi. If I can solve and prevent.
Here's my guy in the blue puffy jacket. This is really interesting to me. This, once again, is the only time we ever see this character appear in the trailer. We see this mysterious man walking out of a room labeled gallery toward a phone which is sitting under a tree, possibly? I'm seeing leaves up there, so I assume there's a tree right there, just out of the frame. What the frick is going on in this little shot here? Also, I really want to point out that this guy gives me crazy Jefferson vibes. I don't know what it is, he just does. Oh gosh, the script is it's so long at this point. Oh my gosh. There's so many words I'm about to say. This is another shot where this character only appears once in the whole trailer. But this has so many layers to it. To start off, this spot they're at is the location of the crime scene. I know this because of this little numbered triangle thing which is used to mark the location of a piece of evidence in a crime scene. But it's interesting that these flowers are shown. What are they, you might be asking? Well, I'm gonna gatekeep that information and move on. I'm just kidding. These flowers are called snowdrops, and I looked up what they represent, and apparently they symbolize new beginnings, hope, rebirth, and the ability to overcome challenges. This is actually a big theme with the symbolisms inside of this trailer, which I'll touch on a little more later. This fits very well with what we're seeing. We're at the crime scene of someone who died, which has been rebirthed through this new timeline, and we're actively seeing Max try to overcome the challenge of solving the mystery of who murdered her friend. But the most interesting thing about this shot to me is this character. Who is she? Well, I have no idea, but when I showed the trailer to my brother, he pointed out that she's wearing orange and blue colored clothes. Coincidence? I think not! I truly feel like there's a lot more to this character than meets the eye, but unfortunately, we just don't know anything about her yet. So, on to the next shot. Max is taking a photo at the same bowling alley we saw earlier in the trailer. Notice the many pieces of bowling imagery placed throughout the background? But this next shot is so freaking good. We see Max blocking a window of varietal colors and being placed between two different colors. And what are they? Blue and red/orange. I know it's red, but those two colors often get put together when symbolizing whatever orange or red means. I like this because it can symbolize how Max has access to the creation of so many different realities, but she's way more caught up in the blue and orange realities. Cough cough, the two endings of the first game, cough cough. To her right is a girl wearing a bucket hat who we haven't been introduced to either. Honestly, the only characters we know the names of in this whole trailer is Max and Safi.
The same murder across two timelines.
Now we see a wall of Polaroid photos perfectly paralleling this shot from the first game. There's a lot to unpack here, so I'm just going to go through most of them quick. Here's the black bucket hat girl we saw in the previous shot. Here's what looks to be the detective. Here's another black person we haven't met yet. Here's what looks to be that untrustworthy lady from way early in the trailer. Here's another person we haven't met yet with the word milagros written underneath. That word translated from Spanish to English means miracles. But check this one out. In this photo is a dog, but what's written right underneath the dog? Chloe number 2 or Suka? It's kind of hard to tell what that says, but does this mean Chloe is alive? Which reality is this in? We can't be sure of anything just yet, but it's a very interesting detail nonetheless. Finally, we see Max pinning a red photo with a blue thumbtack onto her wall. It shows Safi speaking on stage through a microphone with some beer bottles next to her. Now this shot is super weird. The detective shows up once again, but this time he seems to be looking at an apparition of himself? There's not a lot to go off of in this shot, but it's still super weird. Is this Max's doing? Then finally we see Max ripping a hole into reality. Now, you'd think I'd be done there. But no, there's still quite a bit to discuss about the ending of the trailer. In this Polaroid leading to the reveal of the game's title, we can see Caledon University, and surrounding the game's title is the forest with snow covering the ground, footprints imprinted within it. What does double exposure mean? You might be asking. Double exposure is defined as the repeated exposure of a photographic plate or film to light, often producing ghost images. So that second detective we saw earlier definitely seems like it's Max's fault. This final screen actually has 4 different things I want to discuss on it. First of all, the pre-order now thing has blue and orange shadows on it. I know it's a small detail, but I still thought I'd point it out. Secondly, Max is sticking her hands through 2 Polaroids, showcasing how she's manipulating 2 realities at once with her powers. Thirdly, there's this mysterious green comet going straight towards Max's head. Coincidence? I think not! This green comet really piques my interest, and apparently it actually symbolizes something. Now, there are a lot of different symbolisms about comets, but the green one specifically means peace and tranquility, as well as hope, harmony, and optimism. That is something we've seen so many times already. But what's so interesting to me is that normal comets usually symbolize calamity, which is defined as an event causing great and often sudden damage or distress, a disaster. And finally, the most curious thing of all is this Polaroid hidden at the bottom here. In it, we see what I assume is a man in what looks to be a red beanie. You guys probably can't see that it's red, but to my extremely keen observation and amazing eyesight, that makes birds tremble at the thought of it, I see red in that beanie. And that's it. That's my full breakdown of this trailer. I've watched this trailer so many freaking times, keeping my eye out for all the minuscule details that could be sprinkled out throughout this, and I think I did pretty good. Was there anything I missed? Let me know. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video probably.